Hey everyone, welcome to PMP Do-Along Practice Questions. You're managing a critical 6-month IT infrastructure project with a team of 12 people. Your resource management plan indicates that you need 4 senior network engineers for 4 months. However, the PMO informs you that only 2 senior network engineers are available. They're also needed on another high-priority project. Your project timeline is fixed due to regulatory compliance requirements. The conflict cannot be resolved by the PMO or executive leadership. What is the best course of action? A. Request a timeline extension since the required resources aren't available. B. Reduce the project scope to match available resources. C. Proceed with only 2 engineers and accept the schedule risk. D. Request contractor, consultant resources and adjust the budget accordingly. Correct answer is D. Request contractor, consultant resources and adjust the budget accordingly. Question 2. You are managing a software development project with a defined scope and approved budget of $500,000. 3 weeks into the project, a key stakeholder requests that you add a new feature that wasn't in the original scope but is critical for their department. Implementing this feature will require an additional 3 months and $150,000. The stakeholder has significant influence on the project sponsor and is threatening to escalate if their request isn't accommodated immediately. What should you do first? A. Immediately add the feature to the project plan to maintain stakeholder relationships. B. Reject the request outright and refer the stakeholder to the project sponsor. C. Process the request through the integrated change control process and document the impact. D. Negotiate with the stakeholder to reduce the scope of the feature request. Correct answer is D. Negotiate with the stakeholder to reduce the scope of the feature request. Question 3. During risk monitoring on a 12-month product development project, your team identifies that a critical third-party API, provided by your vendor partner, may not be ready for your expected integration date. If the API isn't ready on time, your team will have 6 months of rework and additional costs of $200,000. The probability is estimated at 30%. Currently, your project reserve, contingency reserve, is $150,000. You originally planned a mitigate response for this risk by asking the vendor to provide early beta access, but the vendor has now indicated they cannot commit to this. What should you do? A. Accept the risk and allocate it to the management reserve. B. Escalate the risk to the sponsor as an issue and do nothing else. C. Implement an alternative mitigation strategy, e.g., parallel development of a backup API integration, and reassess the contingency reserve. D. Immediately close the risk since the mitigation strategy failed. Correct answer is C. Implement an alternative mitigation strategy, e.g., parallel development of a backup API integration, and reassess the contingency reserve. Question 4. You're managing a 9-month infrastructure modernization project involving 3 departments. The IT director wants detailed weekly status reports, the CFO, sponsor, wants monthly high-level summaries, and the operations manager, key stakeholder, demands real-time access to project dashboards and daily stand-ups. Creating all 3 communication formats is consuming 15 hours per week of your time and creating confusion about which status is official. What is the root cause, and how should you address it? A. The stakeholders are being unreasonable. Escalate the conflict to the PMO. B. You should have a more detailed communications management plan that clearly defines frequency, format, and audience for each stakeholder group. C. Create an integrated status report that works for all three stakeholders. D. Implement a project management tool that automatically generates all required reports. Correct answer is B. You should have a more detailed communications management plan that clearly defines frequency, format, and audience for each stakeholder group. Question 5. You're managing a customer-facing application development project with a quality management plan that specifies defect acceptance criteria, maximum 5 critical defects, 15 medium defects per release. At the end of the development phase, you have 3 critical defects and 22 medium defects. The project is already 2 weeks behind schedule, and your sponsor wants to move to the testing phase immediately. The QA team says they can fix the defects during the testing phase, but your quality manager warns this will likely cost 40% more and take significantly longer. What should you do? A. Move to testing as the sponsor requests. Fixing defects in test is part of the normal process. B. Stop work and fix all defects now before moving to testing. C. Accept the critical defects but hold the release until medium defects are fixed. D. Review the quality standards with the sponsor, present cost, schedule impacts, and make a risk-informed decision. Correct answer is D. Review the quality standards with the sponsor, present cost, schedule impacts, and make a risk-informed decision. Question 6. You're managing a digital transformation project affecting 5 business units. One stakeholder is a VP of operations who has high power, influences budgets and resources, but low interest in the project details. She views it as another IT initiative. Another stakeholder is a mid-level manager, low power, high interest, who is deeply engaged and frequently sends you detailed feedback. A third stakeholder is the CIO, high power, high interest, who is the project sponsor. Recently, the VP has expressed concerns, indirectly through the CFO, that the project is taking IT resources away from maintenance work in her unit. How should you prioritize your stakeholder engagement strategy? A. Spend most of your engagement time with the mid-level manager since they're most engaged. B. Keep the VP informed minimally since she has low interest, and focus on the CIO who is already engaged. C. Manage the CIO closely, increase engagement with the VP, move her from low interest to high interest if possible, and use the mid-level manager as a channel for local feedback. D. Hold a town hall meeting to address all stakeholders equally. Correct answer is C. Manage the CIO closely, increase engagement with the VP, move her from low interest to high interest if possible, and use the mid-level manager as a channel for local feedback. Question 7. You're managing a 24-month infrastructure project that requires procurement of hardware, servers, networking equipment, and software licenses from 3 vendors. Your procurement plan includes fixed-price contracts for hardware and a time and materials contract for software integration services. 3 months into the project, Vendor B, Software Integration, submits invoices 40% higher than estimated, citing unexpected complexity in the legacy system integration. Your budget variance is already slightly negative. The vendor claims the overages are justified by their actual work effort. What should you have done differently in procurement planning, and what do you do now? A. Insist the vendor honor the original time estimate. Threaten to find another contractor. B. You should have used fixed price contracts for everything. Now negotiate a settlement and move forward. C. Accept the overages since T&M contracts inherently allow for cost variation. D. Review the original SOW and estimate. Determine if scope creep or estimation error caused the overrun. Pursue a contract modification or claim if the overrun is outside agreed scope. Correct answer is D. Review the original SOW and estimate. Determine if scope creep or estimation error caused the overrun. Pursue a contract modification or claim if the overrun is outside agreed scope. Question 8. You're managing a product launch project with 18 months to complete. Your critical path is 17 months, and your schedule includes a 1-month buffer. During execution, you discover that activity D, a critical activity, 2 months duration, will take an additional 2 weeks due to resource unavailability. This activity has no float, slack. There are no alternative resources available, and you cannot compress any other critical path activities. Your sponsor will not approve a timeline extension. What are your realistic options? A. Accept the delay. You don't have enough float to absorb it. B. Request the sponsor approve a timeline extension, 1 week, not the full month requested. C. Implement fast tracking by overlapping activity D with a successor activity, even if it increases risk. D. Perform a schedule risk analysis and present mitigation options. Consider crashing, fast tracking, or identifying off-critical path activities that could be compressed. Correct answer is D. Perform a schedule risk analysis and present mitigation options. Consider crashing, fast tracking, or identifying off-critical path activities that could be compressed. Question 9. You're in the closing phase of a major ERP implementation project. The project is 3 weeks from completion. During closing activities, you discover that 1. Significant lessons learned were documented mid-project but never formally reviewed or incorporated into project improvements. 2. Procurement decisions made 6 months ago violated company procurement policy, but no one raised it at the time. 3. A critical stakeholder was left out of several key meetings and feels disconnected. You have limited time before formal closure. What should you prioritize? A. Focus on completing deliverables on time. Address lessons learned and stakeholder issues after closure. B. Conduct a formal lessons learned session. Capture the procurement violation as a risk issue for the sponsor to escalate, and conduct a stakeholder engagement recovery meeting. C. Address the stakeholder engagement immediately. Document lessons learned. Escalate the procurement violation to legal. D. Minimize disruption by addressing only the deliverables and moving to closure quickly. Correct answer is B. Conduct a formal lessons learned session. Capture the procurement violation as a risk issue for the sponsor to escalate, and conduct a stakeholder engagement recovery meeting. Question 10. You're managing a 10-month regulatory compliance project with a fixed deadline, regulatory requirement. Your current project performance shows schedule, on time, 0% variance, cost 5% over budget, spent $525,000 of $500,000 budget, quality. Testing has revealed 12 defects that must be fixed before launch. All are compliance critical resources. Your core team is at capacity. No additional resources available. The project has 8 weeks until the regulatory deadline. Your sponsor wants cost control, the business wants no quality compromises, and the compliance office won't accept a delayed launch. Analyze the constraint conflict and recommend a path forward. A. Reduce scope by deferring non-critical features post-launch to stay within budget. B. Request additional budget to hire contractors to fix defects without impacting schedule. C. Negotiate with the regulator for a 1-month extension. D. Accept budget overrun. Explain to the sponsor why cost control is secondary to compliance. Correct answer is D. Accept budget overrun. Explain to the sponsor why cost control is secondary to compliance. We have come to the end of questions 1 to 10. Keep practicing, keep going and keep growing.